NEUROCLIMA Lens is a search and analytics application for exploring climate change adaptation topics. In this demo, we follow a journalist using Lens to prepare a short public explainer about low-energy irrigation and its connection to the EU Common Agricultural Policy, or CAP. Let's use this as our query. The filter menu allows us to narrow by date or source type, but for this first pass, we keep the search broad enough to discover different kinds of relevant material. Once the results appear, we begin with the most practical reporting step. What can we verify? The summary gives us a quick sense of the result set, and evidence is where we start checking source material for this irrigation and CAP question. Small tooltips and short explanation panels help us understand the interface without leaving the workflow. Evidence results are essentially passages from curated source documents that have been indexed by the NEUROCLIMA project. These passages have been found to match our query. The result cards let us scan across research, policy documents, news, or transcripts, while the labels show what kind of source document each passage comes from. In list views such as this, we can also change the result density to scan items more quickly. Now, we slow down. Before using a result in a story, we inspect the matched passage, its surrounding source context, and the metadata. For a topic like low-energy irrigation under CAP, this helps us separate the most useful passages and source documents. Next, we switch to social tipping points, or STPs, to look for possible social signals around the same topic. Here, Lens shows potential signs that attitudes, behavior, or collective action may be shifting in ways that could contribute to wider social change. In a reporting workflow, these serve as leads to investigate and interpret, rather than conclusions to report as established facts. NEUROCLIMA has defined 5 qualifying factors for assessing whether a source segment has characteristics of a possible STP. They focus on signs, such as shared awareness, perceived consequences, changing habits, or demands for action. For our irrigation topic, this may help us understand whether the signal is about technology, policy pressure, public concern, or changing practice. The combined view brings evidence and STP signals side by side. If items originate from the same source document, Lens can highlight or filter the linked results. That helps us see whether a possible social signal is supported, complicated, or contextualized by nearby evidence from the same source. Grouping by source document keeps the evidence trail readable. It shows when several results come from the same report, regulation, article, or transcript. At this point, the reporting task may lead beyond desk research. The Tools and Activities link under the results points to practical resources in NEUROCLIMA Hub that could support follow-up activities, such as workshops with experts, stakeholders, or community participants. Once we have read individual results, we can step back and open the Knowledge Graph tab. The Knowledge Graph maps relevant material into a semantic network. Nodes represent concepts, entities, or source elements, and edges represent relationships between them. This can reveal structure that is hard to spot in a list. In the case of journalists, this map can suggest story angles or interview questions. For example, which actors appear, which themes cluster together, and which relationships deserve a closer look. It can also reveal whether the STP view emphasizes a different part of the topic than the evidence view. Finally, the discussions view adds a deliberative layer. These results come from public discussion topics in the NEUROCLIMA Deliberate platform. Deliberate topics can surface citizen concerns, stakeholder priorities, pain points, and signs of public opinion around the issue. Each result links back to the original discussion, so we can follow the conversation within Deliberate and, where appropriate, participate or invite others to continue the dialogue. In this demo, we observed how we can use Lens in a unified workflow to move from a climate adaptation question to a source-aware story by examining several connected angles. Evidence we can verify, social signals we can investigate, relationships we can map, and public discussion we can follow.